Hello and welcome to a slightly different version of Breakfast Club from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. Due to the later deadline today, we decided to run a lunch club, and here we will discuss our Gameweek 31 moves, look ahead to the coming game weeks, and reveal the 3 p.m. kickoff lineups. Today I'm joined by David. David, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. It's nice to get the morning off, I suppose. And yeah, here we are having lunch together, which is
There we go. Busy,
a nice change is as good as a rest.
busy working and having a working lunch. But we have less fixtures to look at. So let's have a look at the fixtures first. So we've got Bournemouth, Newcastle, Burnley, Leicester, West Ham and Huddersfield today, Fulham, Liverpool, Everton, Chelsea tomorrow. In around about 12 minutes, we will reveal the lineups for all of those first three matches that will take place at 3 o'clock. So we'll get the team news at 2. So first of all, what we usually do with these, we reveal each other's lineups and we have a chat about them and some of our key moves. So special week this week, blank game week. I suspect hits have been taken. I know I have, and I'll reveal mine hits a bit later. But let's go in on your team, David. So we'll get that up on the screen there. How are you set up? What moves have you made? And I understand you might be making another move. I don't know how many hits that'll be. Fire away. Tell us about your Game Week 31 setup.
Yeah, so I might actually be making 2 moves live on the show and taking a hit as well, because -8 is the new -4, right? That's what everyone's doing. I'm not going for the -8 because everybody's doing that. It makes me feel a lot more secure going for a -4. What I've already done, anyone on Twitter will already know that I took out Son last night. Nice easy one, put in Hazard. I then proceeded to have a dream somehow that Son still played in Game Week 31 and scored a penalty for Spurs, and I got very angry and then I woke up. And so hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, Hazard was just an obvious one. I talked about him on the Scoutcast. I said I'd probably get him anyway because everyone's going to have him and he does stand a chance of doing quite well. I've warmed to him throughout the week. So anyone who thought I was particularly unfair on Hazard on Tuesday night is probably right. Having done a bit more research into him and a few of the other, the different angles of looking at this particular game, I do think he's a very good player to have for this weekend. So that was an easy one to do. I then, because I was looking at Fraser, and obviously we heard last night suggestions that Mane didn't train, there's a few sort of bits left hanging out from what we didn't necessarily get too much confirmation of in team news and things like that. I've decided I'd do the rest of my transfers on Saturday morning. I then didn't, because that's always what happens. And here we are 11 minutes until deadline. Still haven't done them yet. What I'm looking at is Pogba out and Doherty out for Fraser and David Luiz. Although I was tempted by Declan Rice, I just think Luiz over the 2 fixtures is probably going to offer a bit more.
Okay, so would that take you to a -8 or a -4?
That would take me to -4 because I came in with 2 free transfers. Okay. So, I'd be pretty happy. And it would also take me to 11 players. So I'm pretty happy with it. Or just, taking a -4 for a Chelsea defender kind of in my head feels wrong. But then when I look at the landscape of the next couple of weeks and the fixtures they've got, and as you quite rightly mentioned in question time, Joe, Everton's attack doesn't look too great over the last 4 matches, especially at home as well. Very near the bottom of the pile for efforts on goal, things like that. So, yeah, I think that's the way to go. And you've got people taking -8s for all manner of things this week, and some people taking -12. So
it's true. That's what I was saying. I jokingly said a -8 this week is like a -4. But I really think it is. There's so many hits going around as well.
Yeah, I think it is. So but then a -4 is like a 0. So that's why getting to that. Obviously it's been disappointing for me the last couple of weeks not had the Man City players, but I feel like my transfers have been made a lot easier this week than they have been in previous weeks. And to go into this with 11 players and only a -4, I've not taken any hits in the build up to this game week either. So the only hit that I've taken is now. I think I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, some people have been wondering what Mark's going to do. For example, he's got 8 game week players at the moment, and he's taking hits as well. And so there's lots of big people who in strong positions taking hits. So I got no issue.
I think taking hits,
especially as it means I'm going to have more players than him as well. So
I think taking hits is quite sensible. If you haven't got 11 players, I think you're giving yourself the opportunity to get more points. And if you don't take those hits, you're not giving yourself that opportunity. And some people, I'm known as quite a dullard manager, but I've taken hits and I just think it's a really dull move to do. I think a maverick move is just to say, well, I'm just going to go into this with 7 or 8 players and be done with it. That's maverick. But just to I just wanted to run through your team really, because obviously for the podcast version, people can't see the picture. You've got Fabianski in goal. You've got Robertson, Pereira. You're going to get David Luiz, we think. Salah, captain. Mane, vice. And then you're getting Fraser. Was that right? Fraser in for Pogba.
Yeah, that's right. I'm hovering just in case we catch any news in the next 8 minutes that says he's not going to play.
Okay, well, hopefully your internet won't go down or something like that. Then you've got Hazard, as you said, in Philippe Anderson. We're going to hope that it's going to be waiting on that West Ham team sheet. Hopefully he's playing, so we can get our 1 to 2 points from him. Rondon and Barnes up front, and then you're benching your Wolves lads who have a double game week, quite sensible there, and Bednarak as well. A couple of things I wanted to ask you about. One is the captaincy. There's been rumours that Mane didn't train, so presumably you're going for safety with Salah. But why do you think Salah is the best option? And just before you answer, I'm going to put up some stats, some research that Adam Hopcroft, Breakfast Club regular, did. Basically, it's a whole bunch of numbers after players that have played Fulham, and they indicate how many mega scores they've got. And Aubameyang has got a 15 and a 9, Lacazette 12 and a 6, Pogba scored 16 points, Martial 12, Vardy 16. The list goes on. Sigurdsson 14. So quite a few scores there, and some kind of high single digit ones, but also some mega ones like that Vardy and that Aubameyang one. So I just put that there because I'm presuming you're probably going to say similar. You're captaining Salah because.
Well, it's Fulham.
There we go.
That's what it is. I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head on why it's him over Mane. I mean, I was probably going to go Salah anyway because I want to play it a bit safer. And Mane away from home hasn't exactly been amazing. I know it is still Fulham, but then these rumours are really tricky because all we know is that he's not being pictured training. It doesn't mean he didn't train. It means he's unlikely he did. FBL Virgin was saying on Twitter, made a very good point actually, was explaining that Mane's the man of the moment. He's the guy that scored the 2 goals that put them through in the Champions League. So if he has trained and he was there, then you'd expect the photographer would take a picture of him. So it does look as if he hasn't trained, but obviously we can't completely 100% guarantee that because there is still the slight possibility, that the photographer wasn't doing his job properly and maybe Mane was in the toilet. So, it's just too many unknowns. But because it's kind of there and, it's been talked about by a few people in the press as well. Interestingly, I think the Echo hadn't mentioned it. And they're normally a good yardstick for whether or not someone is...
If the Liverpool Echo don't mention it, then it's possibly not happening.
I don't want to say that they're absolutely right on everything because, it's hard to be. In today's journalistic society, it's very, very hard for even the big proper papers to be as in there with some inside knowledge as was the case 10, 15 years ago, because clubs are so much more strict about keeping information to themselves than they were. So that's why it's really hard to know. I would say if you were thinking about captaining Mane, then I wouldn't do it because there's too much doubt there. Yeah. And fine, if he then plays and he scores a hat-trick, then that's really annoying. But it was still probably the right decision on paper. So then that's kind of my thinking with Salah.
Same here. It could be all sorts of reasons. He could have simply had the day off. He could have had a prearranged something urgent, family business. I don't know. It could have been all sorts of reasons. But the fact is, he has been playing, and as far as we know, he will play. But we just don't know. I'm just going to put my team up because there's an issue with my team that's similar to yours, and that is the removal of Pogba. So I'm going to put my team up and I'll quickly explain what I've done. Now, I wasn't as blessed as you with good planning. So I came into this with 8. I came into this with 7 rather. So I have taken a -8 to get myself up to 10. I'm going stick goalie. Guita is there, but not there. I'll just quickly run through it. I've got Robertson, Pereira, David Luiz and Azpilicueta, Chelsea defensive double up there. Philippe Anderson, Mane, Hazard, Salah, captain, Wilson and Barnes. I have taken out Aguero, Wan-Bissaka and, drumroll, Pogba. Well, I said I might not do that on the Scoutcast early in the week.
I was the same, so I understand.
And I've removed them for Callum Wilson, Eden Hazard and Azpilicueta from -8. So I think I think a -12 would be a little bit too maverick for me. I think that over game weeks 31 and 33, I've got these players in for both of them. All of the players I've gone in all have good fixtures in game week 33 as well as 31. So I am hoping, and I'm famous last words, I'm fairly confident I will get paid back. I don't know how handsomely, but I'm going to get paid back that -8 over 31 and 33. But one of the things I've did is, so I'm going to get Pogba back on my free hit game week 32. It's going to cost me $500,000 more. But I worked out, I did a yet more kind of hypothetical game week 32 free hit teams with all the kind of titans that you would want in it, like Aguero and Sterling and Hazard and Pogba and maybe Lukaku as well. And then I filled it with some bench players like 3.8, 3.9, and I could actually afford it. With a bit to spare, and if I wanted, say for example, really splash out, say Kane's got a double game week and I really wanted Kane, then I would be like 2 million short. I wouldn't be $500,000 short. So I just thought, I don't know if that $500,000, it fits with the way I play, kind of points not pounds, risk-free moves. Pogba to Hazard made sense. Like you, I kept looking at those stats, I kept looking at performances. I think Hazard is good, and I think he's going to be one of my captain. I think he's going to be my captain game week 33, which I never thought I'd say a few weeks back. But so the question to you is, now I've removed Pogba for all of those reasons. Why have you? Because it's going to cost you a bit to get Pogba back in as well.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with that?
Not hugely, but I realised that most of the players that I needed to facilitate to get Fraser in, which I think owning Fraser this week is going to be hugely important. So Doherty, I'm losing 0.5 on if I'm winning back. Pogba's the same. What it came down to in the end was, yes, I know I'm going to need a Man United player at least for this double game week, but basically it might not necessarily be Pogba. It could be Lukaku or it could be Rashford. We've been looking at a few sort of stats on how Pogba's been since Lukaku came back, and there seems to have been a slight regression, but we're not sure yet. We need to do a little bit more. We're going to do some research into that over the international break. Obviously, Lukaku might have a bit of an injury, but effectively, I just think that if you're going to need a Wolves player for the Wolves fixtures, you definitely need Jimenez. So there's absolutely no way that he's going anywhere. Whereas there's a possibility that I might not necessarily want Pogba. And I'm not saying I don't want him, but it's just a case of if I have to choose between, it was basically a case of, do I sell Pogba to get Fraser or do I sell Jimenez to get Wilson? And I felt that Jimenez was someone I wanted to hold on to that little bit more than Pogba, because I think there's more attacking options in Man United's ranks that can, deliver what I would want out of a double game week. And like I said, Lukaku and Rashford may fall into that particular bracket. So I don't like having to do it, but I've just signed Fraser. I just to say I've put those moves through now just in time.
All good.
13.58 they went through. Salah captain. Yeah, just double checking I've got it all right. yeah, it all seems to be set up. I just felt that if Fraser delivers, then I don't mind having to spend a little bit extra maybe to get Pogba back. But that's just what it is. Jimenez was more important to me. So
yeah, I think that as well. I mean, it's pretty much, if I want to get Jimenez back, similar price I would have to pay. But the thing is, it was Hazard I really wanted, because I was actually thinking of Pedro. I was very close to Pedro. And what persuaded me not to was something Neil was saying, that Willian is not selected for Brazil, which means he's more likely to play in game week 33 over Pedro. So therefore, I like the idea of Pedro. I believe he'll play and could do well against Everton, but I'm not so convinced against West Ham, whereas I am convinced that Hazard is going to play twice over that time. So I just think I'm going to get more value out of that. Okay, David, do we have some team news in? I don't know how you want to start.
Yeah, where do we start? Normally we just have one game, but we've got loads coming through. Thankfully enough, I have the mobile notifications on for the official FBL account. So I'll reel off what has already been retweeted by them, because it's all collected in the right place, which is great.
I'll put the fixtures up. Yeah.
I normally try and get these teams out on our Twitter, bang on 2:00. But just as I'm doing all of these,
people will have to understand. We have lunch.
Yeah. Right, so we'll start with Bournemouth, because that seems to be what everyone's a little bit worried about. So yeah, Fraser is on the left wing, so that's great news. Boric in goal, Daniels at left back, Ake and Mepham at centre back, Klein at right back, kind of as we expected really. Fraser, Brooks, Lerma, and Ibe are the midfield four. So Brooks is actually playing in the middle, and then Wilson up front. No surprise there.
Okay.
Obviously, yeah, Klein's come in for Smith. So anyone who's got Nathaniel Klein could be a decent one. Let's have a look at Leicester then. So Leicester's team: Schmeichel, Pereira, Evans, Maguire, Chilwell, Damari Gray, which is interesting. Hasn't always played every game. Tielemans, Ndidi, Barnes, Maddison, and Vardy. So it doesn't seem any huge surprise.
What was that back line again? Can you just repeat that again?
So the back line was Pereira, Evans, Maguire, and Chilwell. So yeah, Morgan is on the bench. So Pereira's still in the back four.
Okay, so it's a back four. It's not three at the back, kind of wing backs.
It doesn't appear to be, no. Yeah, so we got. It looks kind of like a 4-5-1, to be honest, with possibly Barnes and Gray, or maybe a 4-4-1-1. Perhaps maybe Maddison pushed a bit further ahead. Well, Leicester, I see people have moaned about this before. They hate the way that they put their team out because it's just a list, and you can never really work out what the formation is. Newcastle, a lot of people are interested in Rondon this week. Yep, he obviously starts. Dubravka, Yedlin, Lejeune, Fernandez, Dummett, Ritchie, Hayden, Diame, Perez, Rondon, and Almiron. So quite a nice attacking three there. It does look as if he's gone with possibly two central attacking midfielders, maybe just behind Rondon. There could be either side of him as wide players as well. Obviously, they're without Lascelles, and they're also without Share as well. So that's obviously one of the reasons why a lot of people are interested in the Bournemouth players. We have got Huddersfield. Anyone's really interested, but I'll probably just skip past. I'll come back to them then. West Ham is I think it looks as if it was as predicted before the game by a few in the know accounts. A lot of people know ex-West Ham employee. He seems to be quite in the know. So
yes, he predicted three. This is why he predicted three changes. So three changes indeed.
Yeah, so as predicted, Snodgrass on the bench and Chicharito on the bench. And so then that means that we have a full 11 of Fabianski, Zabaleta, Ogbonna, Diop, Cresswell, Rice and Noble as the midfield two, Lanzini, Antonio and Anderson as the attacking three, and Arnautovic up front. So anyone who's taken a punt on him, well done. He has started the game and will probably do quite well. And one thing just on the Anderson front, a lot of people have been really worried about, holding him for this game. I'm glad I have done, because seeing Antonio and Arnautovic come in, that means West Ham's attack is going to be better than I think it could have been. Yeah. So then that bodes well for someone playing in it. Also, Snodgrass on the bench.
Yes.
I mean, Anderson is going to take some set pieces.
This
so
is
hopefully
good news.
A bit of a chance to get involved.
Because Anderson's chances, shots, have been woeful since the end of January. So as you said, and one of the reasons of that is because Snodgrass has been hogging those set pieces.
And doing very well with them, to be fair. His delivery, I actually do think is a lot better. So
I'm not blaming him. But
no.
I blame myself for getting Anderson in for that poor run. But this is it. This is the big turnaround. Okay, yes, sorry, I interrupted. Carry on.
So we just got two teams left, I think, to go through. One of them more important than the other. Let's go through Burnley. So again, kind of looks like what we largely expect, but good news for anyone who took a punt on Johan Gudmundsson, who is back in the starting lineup. Jeff Hendrick has been keeping him out of his place, and also Dwight McNeil as well, because Dwight McNeil has been playing on the left. That's where Gudmundsson usually plays. McNeil's still in the team, so we've got McNeil and Gudmundsson both in midfield, so that's quite exciting.
Now, I just wanted to stop you there as well. Keep interrupting, but this is for those that play the Sky game. Now, Patterson at Cardiff is 5.2 in that game, a defender, and he is obviously not playing so much, and obviously definitely doesn't play this week. Now, I noticed McNeil is 5.4, so that was a piece of team news that was the most important to me, because I'm going to make that move and swap them, because I need a cheap player, and I think McNeil's the guy who's actually going to play and could get me with some returns. So sorry about that. Just for anyone who's playing Sky game, just to be aware, McNeil's really cheap, and he could be a really great replacement for Patterson.
Yeah, no, I like McNeil, and he's obviously 4.4 on FPL, and if I were hitting the been him and Hayden, my 4.4. But yeah, so the full lineup then: Heaton, Taylor, me, Tarkowski, Bardsley, McNeil, Westwood, Cork, Gudmundsson, and of course the dynamic duo up front of Chris Wood and Sergeant Bucky Barnes, also known as the Winter Soldier, or also known as Ashley Barnes,
the Austrian maestro, the Falco of the North.
He's incredible. And then just for anyone who is thinking so outside the box or on another planet, here's the Huddersfield team.
Okay, go for it.
We got. I mean, again, this is another team that the way that they do their team announcements, it's like it's not even in a list. trying to work out who's playing in what position in this team is just a nightmare. So I'm just going to just read off them in an indiscriminate order because that's how they've put it to us. So we got Lurzel, Tommy Smith, Congolo, Bakuna, Moy, Lerver, Grant, Pritchard, Stankovic, Durm, and Rowe. And actually, looking at it now, I think what they do is they do it numerically, which I think is the worst way of announcing a team sheet because you just have no idea who's playing where. But yeah, so that's their team. So some interesting names on the bench actually. Hadajani is on the bench, Zanka's on the bench, Billing on the bench, Mounier's on the bench. So a lot of players who have been played quite regularly for them on the bench. Not really that settled under their new manager, so I think they're as good as gone really, as we all know. But yeah, that's just for completists' sake.
So for me, I have no West Ham defensive cover this week. I decided to opt for the double of 31 and 33. I don't fancy West Ham's chance of a clean sheet game week 33 against Chelsea. But yeah, not that I needed any extra emotion there, but reading that lineup from Huddersfield, it's just a championship side, and they've scored 8 goals. Is that right, away from home this season?
Yeah, it's very poor. Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't got West Ham defensive cover, so but it would cost me a hit too, so I would just cancel it out anyway. So that worries me slightly. Just before we go, there's a couple of things I wanted to mention. Now, one is, I'm going to choose my words carefully here. There is a practice where naughty people field players without a game in their first 11 so that their good players on the bench suddenly appear as if by magic at the end in the final game week score to shock and delight themselves and shock their mini-league rivals. So some even take this further and risk captaining a non-player with their actual captain choice set as vice-captain. I'm just going to call it bench thingamy. I think you had another version of that.
I think we should call it, anyone who ever watched Mitchell and Webb will know what number wang is, and will also know what wanganum is, which was the special extra round in the quiz. I'm going to call it bench wanganum.
Well, okay, careful now. So what I'm going to put up is I'm going to put up a typical team. Okay, so I'm going to pay tribute to some of these bench thingamies. So special mention goes to those that answer my plea for bench thingamies this morning on Twitter. Liam, Late Riser 12, Matt Hardman, El Magico, FPL Liam, Fantasy C Zini, Bumblebee, David Off, and all of those others as well. And the team I've got on the screen, special mention goes to Matt Hardman. Now, he has triple captained Kolasinac, vice triple captained Salah. He also has Fraser, Hazard, and Alexander Arnold on the bench. They will be coming in for Kolasinac, Johnny, and Rashford, who don't play. So, in his head, what's going to happen is he's going to have an awful score, and then suddenly, as if by magic, and if Salah does well, and all of those players, Hazard scores and clean sheet for Alexander Arnold, they're all going to just pop in and amaze all his rivals there. So obviously he's going to hope. He's going to hope that Salah doesn't get ill. He's got a day to get ill. He's going to hope he's going to get injured in the warm up. It can happen. It happened to Brighton striker last week. Or Kolasinac gets an emergency transfer to Fulham, which would be amazing. Special dispensation for that to happen.
Imagine if that happened. He'd end up on a minus score, wouldn't he?
And he would end up on a minus score because Salah would have got all those points against him. So I just wanted to mention that. It's something I never do. I'm not even going to give the people that do it the satisfaction of saying I'm frustrated when those in my mini league do it. I'm just in general frustrated that people take delight in it. But nevertheless, hats off to Matt Hardman. Is this something you ever do, David?
Oh well, the bench wanganum. I have done it in the past, but I didn't realise how much people disliked it. So now that I do what I do on a more full-time basis, I try to avoid it. So I don't wind you up. Basically, I have to work with you. So
you wouldn't. I'm not going to give the satisfaction of anyone in my mini leagues. For example, Andy, who loves to do this very frequently. Torres Magic is another as well. One other thing I wanted to mention, and this will make owners of several of the blank game week players playing this week very happy. It's the goals imminent table, and this reveals. I've cut out some of those that aren't playing, but they were just they weren't near the top anyway. But Higuain is top there, 19 shots over his last 4, but just 1 goal. He is very much due a goal. 12 shots inside the box. So if you've got him, I think he's going to have recovered from his illness. I think yourself and Neil have predicted this from your press conference analysis.
Yeah, I think he'll play. Yeah, I think he'll play. We just we have to cover ourselves with the fact that Sarri is saying, I hope he plays, rather than he definitely will. That's just the only line I think.
I think there were some pictures of him in training, and so I'd be fairly confident if I was an owner. Harvey Barnes there, once again, 18 goal attempts, hardly any on target though, just 2 on target. Maybe his goal on target will have eventually come. Tielemans as well, more to come from him. Salah, this will please people. He is due 12 shots, 6 inside the box, 5 on target. These are good figures. They indicate he will score soon. Maddison is there. Mitrovic could ruin many a Liverpool clean sheet, and Almiron as well. He started to pick up a bit. I believe he has got an assist in recent game weeks, and showing that he's actually capable of turning what looks like very impressive performances there. But just before we go, David, any final thoughts really about the game week?
Just to update people, the blank game week 33 situation has changed once again.
Okay.
Would have just put Palace out of the FA Cup.
Oh.
So that would mean that Watford versus Fulham in game week 33 is going to be a blank, and it confirms, I believe, that Newcastle versus Crystal Palace will go ahead. If anyone sat there with Newcastle players, congratulations, you just earned yourself at least 1 more, maybe 2 more, depending on who you've got players for game week 33. Same with your Palace players as well, because I'm sure a lot of us still have Wan-Bissaka.
Yes, Guaita. So, well, I'll be fielding
Guaita, of course.
Guaita now.
So yeah, obviously that's helpful for some people. And then Watford, not many people have Watford and Fulham players anyway. But yeah, that's just confirmation just within the last few minutes that Watford have put Palace out. So that's we're going to have something a bit. Obviously, it's FA Cup quarter-final day as well, so kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Really, we've got Premier League coverage on one side. We're also keeping an eye on these FA Cup games as well, because each result is going to have an impact on the blank game week. So
in terms of the blank game weeks, now perhaps more importantly, with every blank game week comes a double game week. So this means this will mean that we have we have 2 doubles for Watford on the horizon, possibly.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, unless they cram it all into one, but yeah, 2 doubles.
One triple game.
And I was saying to you before we came on air, I'm pleased with that, because I'll be keeping Foster. I think Foster's a good option, always a good goalkeeper.
Home against Fulham is one game that's going to get put into a double game week, and alone is worth holding.
Foster will be my double game week keeper then, because of the save points alone.
If that goes into 32, I think Watford would be a double of away at Man United and at home against Fulham, which actually, to be fair, for Foster is actually really good, because you probably get a load of save points and a clean sheet in the second one.
So.
If it goes into 35, you've then got away at Huddersfield and at home against Fulham, which is...
So, okay, well that's Delafeu time. That's Troy Deeney up front. This is good, and this is good because
it depends on which way round it goes, of course. Yeah. But yeah, definitely a lot of Watford options are going to be very much on everybody's watch list, I would imagine.
That's good. It's good you got that in as well, because we're going to be making a podcast version of this. So if you're listening to the podcast version, this is the version that we made, and obviously some of it is related to events that will have happened in game week 31, and so it's good that. So we're already looking ahead there to game week 32 and game week 33. So yeah, good nugget of information there, David. Time for us to go. Lunch is over. Thanks so much for joining me, and good luck with the game week.
Cheers, and to you as well.